Josh tired of talking about nitrogen.
I know you're tired about talking about nitrogen, but the people...
Vomit comment.
So
we were talking earlier.
Yes.
Josh is so up and down with all his wave of emotions. So much like a woman sometimes.
I was going to say occasionally volatile.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
what
very
is...
passionate about what I'm passionate about.
That's right.
You want to see a card trick?
No, I don't want to see your stinking card trick. Tired of your card trick.
Vomit comet.
Vomit comet. So NASA has a 747, especially equipped for special maneuvers.
For basically death.
Yeah. And they take their astronauts and train them in zero gravity. And what they do is they fly them up to nearly the ceiling of what that aircraft is capable. And then just dive it. Not like dive it, but, you know, enough to where you can
They go
free
down
float.
pretty quick.
Free float. And you just ride that sucker down and free float. And then you get to experience zero gravity. And that's how they train astronauts in zero gravity. Is how to, or at least how to do it. But anyway, up and down and up and down. That's why they call it the vomit comet. So the little bit of what it's like to be in singular is a vomit comet.
Up and down.
Depends on
The morning? Day. Sometimes
night.
Hey, we're all men. It's okay.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's right. Ish. I'm sure there's some that are not.
I looked at the stats. We have some chicks that watch this or listen. It's cool. We have like one Polynesian person.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, hello to you. Of course, you may not even know. Hi. What do you want to talk about?
So, okay. Yeah, I don't want to talk about nitrogen.
We've talked about, I know.
You're wearing me
Well,
out.
we've talked a lot about farm management and risk aversion. Aversion.
There we
Risk
go.
aversion. Cut that out before there. No. So it slides right into risk aversion. But I don't know, the more we talk about risk aversion, the more the markets fall.
Yeah, so we did talk
Guys
about
are just
markets,
keep
and we
asking,
talked about
What do I do? What do I do? Well, thankfully, we're old enough to where we have been in a low market before. How many low markets have you been in? 2, 3?
It probably more accurately is how many high markets have you been in?
Yeah.
So 8,
2008.
12, 11, 12, and then the one we just finished, so 3.
Mm-hmm.
8 was like right up, right back down.
Just like this last one.
Oh, it was like only months.
Really?
Yeah. I never forget driving down highway at home, and that one of the elevators puts all their prices up on the Jumbotron. It's just a TV thing that has the dots.
Big screen. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is. Like LED dots to light up the price or whatever.
Okay.
And driving by in wheat was like $13.
Wow.
And it was real. I can't even remember what happened. I was just barely farming by that time, irrigation wise. So wasn't watching markets all that much.
Because you were just trying to grow something.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Yep. So that was 8. That yeah, somewhere around there. I think it was 8, but yeah.
And then
so it's
we
just
had
a crazy
12.
deal. Yeah, and 12.
And that lasted long enough where a lot of the big guys bought all new equipment. All new equipment, like it was going to last forever.
Yeah, 12 was
13's when I started farming.
Yeah, 12 was an interesting year. 13, actually, that whole ride is probably actually what a guy needs to look at right now.
Explain that.
11 was really good. 10 was terrible for us.
Okay.
11 was really rough, I guess. I had so much stinking hail in 10, I couldn't even stand it, even more than I got this year.
Oh, wow.
It just got like total annihilation. Not like Nick. I didn't get hail like that in 10.
Or Mason.
Yeah, but it mowed it off, came back up, tasseled, 3/4 starch, hailed it again to sticks, and then I just gave up. It's like, I'm done. Next year will be better. You know how that is.
Maybe worse.
It was worse.
Oh, no.
It's way worse. Everything burned up.
This is good. We've never talked about Ben's history in agriculture.
Yeah. 11. Everybody talks 12, 11. Everybody's got their drought stories. I seen 122 degrees, and it was blowing 40 mile an hour. And I watched corn that was in happy shape in the morning flashed by that night, irrigated. That is the only time I've seen corn not pollinate due to heat.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yep. That's the only time I've seen it not pollinate due to heat. So I know corn is extremely resilient. Hey, I know what else to talk about after this.
I know where this is going.
Temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah, it got
it's minus 22 outside right now.
Yeah. I got my feet up on the bottom of with this table's a spool.
Yeah.
I don't know how far the shots go down, but it's a spool. So
How far can we see? Yeah.
Okay, I got my feet up on the bottom of it a ways because the floor is so stinking cold. My feet are getting cold. But I got some, everybody can see.
Aaron's going to be so pissed.
Yeah, see? I've got a, like a.
You got Hey Dudes on.
They're not Hey Dudes. They're Ariots, but they're like the texture
Canvasy?
of like a hoodie.
Okay.
And so, yeah, canvas.
Texture of a hoodie.
Yeah, well,
canvas.
That thick.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the air just gets right in, and it's like, it's awful.
Yeah.
It's great. Like, I love golfing them and stuff because they feel like you're not even wearing shoes. But other than that, anyway, that's totally off topic.
That's pretty far off.
Yeah. My shoes are cold. I don't have diabetes. My shoes are just freezing because they're just not very insulated.
Temperatures.
No, 11. So it was just unbelievably hot. And it just so happened that was the year my well was kind of like going down a little bit. It needed to be worked over, and I lost it. It's 300, and 2 years later, that field broke 310. That year, I think I averaged 60 irrigated.
Mercy sakes.
So it was a learning experience. So anyway, 11 was like that, and most people talk at 12.
Were you chasing on the white rabbit in 11?
No, I wasn't, because I was still not there yet. I was still learning some things.
Did you know you weren't there yet?
Yeah.
Cool.
I'd seen 300 as a very hard goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a little bit of humbling after that. Besides that, 10 was terrible. So then after 11, then we did some changes and stuff, and then I went back up into the mid-200s after that. It's probably about 13, 14 is when things really started taking off for, like, I'm going to try to figure some stuff out. But I was chasing the white rabbit.
Yeah.
Like, bad chasing the white rabbit. And
What's the dumbest thing you did? Here, looking back.
Dumbest thing I've did. I remember I was chasing 500 bushel corn. I wanted 500, and there was no number I wouldn't spend to get it.
Wow.
And so essentially, I didn't care. If it cost me $4,000 an acre to do it, I was going to do it. So I was in the mentality, you just spend more.
Yeah.
That's the ticket to 500, is get enough of everything out there to fill the barrel up. So
there was no possible way a deficiency was even.
No, I had a strip tiller
possible
at that time, so I chiseled that field. This particular year, I chiseled that field.
4.
Yeah. Nope. Northeast.
Mm-hmm.
I chiseled it, got it smoothed up, and then I planted cover crop because I wanted to spurt. I knew a little bit about biology by that point. It was very, very green. Still probably fairly green, but still, nonetheless, it was
Not
very,
as
very
green.
beginning.
Kind of like the aged guacamole green.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. The type that's almost eat that, you're not going to work tomorrow.
Yeah, but man, the chips are nice and crunchy. You know, it's good salt level. Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, I had a strip tiller. I was going to ban my fertilizer.
Okay.
I believe I anhydrous some because I needed to just due to the cost. Oh, I remember. I didn't want to treat the whole field like this. So I anhydrous what I needed to have that spiked region. And so I anhydrous the thing, and then I strip tilled. So I strip tilled on, I remember I blew 250 pounds of gas. nitrogen that way. And then I went back in there with my strip tiller, mapped it out, did all sorts of looking at imagery. I mean, I did the whole thing. Looking at past imagery, looking at harvest maps, looking at just general flooding potentials. And I have a 9-foot core. That's when I bought that thing. I cored that whole plot. I knew what that thing was 9 feet deep. Everything
All
about
over
that
it.
strip. I can draw it. If we had a whiteboard here, I could still go on over here, but
Yeah.
I could draw the profile of that field, underground 9 feet deep. I know how that profile lays.
Wow.
Still today. But anyway, so I did everything I knew, tried to get as much information, and then picked this spot. I went back in there and strip tilled an additional 150 pounds of N and 300 pounds of phos and about 150
400 pounds in, right? Did you say 250? Yes, no, he has no clue.
It's 250, then 150, yeah. Yeah, 400. Did that, put some potash on with an 8% base saturation and potassium. And I planted twin row 20s. And I planted it at 52,000. And we went in there, 52,000 twin row. It was a 12-8. So 12-inch, 8-inch, 12-inch, 8-inch. 12-8 planting, spacing.
Okay.
And I went in there, and everything looked great. I've got 52,000 corn tillering like crazy. This stuff looks
looking like Milo.
Milo. Yeah. I was talking with Corey a lot. Actually, Corey didn't do the exact same program as far as nutrition goes, but we both tried twin 20s same year. He's 20-inch too. This is that year. And it looks great. And oh my gosh, this looks good. All the way through. Pollination comes out. Oh, this is like, you start calculating. Holy crap.
Yeah, the one thing we talk about.
Yeah, the month of promise.
That's
Oh my
right.
gosh, this is going to be huge.
500.
Yeah.
See ya.
I flew that thing 6 times.
With foliar.
Foliars, fungicides. I fungicided it 3 times. I used Ascend on the seed, which is a catalyst, some other stuff in there. I use Radiate, which is an additional.
PGR.
I mean, I threw the book at it. Everything I could possibly think of. If you thought you had something that I could do, my starter program was over $150 an acre, just in that starter. I had biologicals. I had catalysts.
Extracts.
Huh?
Were you doing extracting then?
I had some bugs in a jug stuff. I had multiple versions. One of them, it was, I'm going to tell this story because it's great. My hired hand at this time is helping me blend this stuff up. We ripped this bag, this pouch. It's like yeast or something. I don't even know
Probably
what it
was.
was. Yeah. Tear it, dump it in the tank, and it's agitating. This is a cruiser or a nurse trailer. It's agitating, and I dropped the damn bag in it. God dang it. My hired hand at that time, name's Robert. It's like, Robert, get that bag out of that tank. If anybody knows anything about nurse trailers, the hole's this big.
Mm-hmm. We have
This
video podcast.
Yeah.
They can
this
watch
big.
it now.
It's what, 2 foot? No, yeah, probably close to 2 foot.
18, 20 inches.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Robert's 350 pounds, maybe 320 pounds. Robert, get that out of that tank. So he leans over.
Looks like the fat guy in a manhole.
He wasn't falling in. His butt was stuck anyway, so we knew he was safe. So he couldn't get in. So he's reaching around. And I remember I had to pull him out because he just got over center enough he couldn't get back up.
He'd have died in there.
Oh, it's hilarious. He grabs this tank, or this bag, gets it, pulls it out. It's got juice in it with some of that bacteria or whatever it was. Slings it right in his face when he slings it out of the tank. And oh, it was just hilarious. That stuff frickin' stinks. Oh, he was so pissed off. It's some of the funniest stuff.
First fat guy into the tank.
Yeah, it was great. when Robert worked for me, that's some of the funniest years I've ever had in my life. Some of the stuff I did to him and he did, it's just great.
Wow.
So, but anyway.
This is when you're still doing cattle?
Yeah, I had cattle. Yeah. Oh, man. I put 35 ton of manure on that thing, too.
I was wondering. I was like, you put manure on this thing, right?
Yeah, I did. So this thing had enough nutrition for like 5 years.
5 generations.
Yeah. But yeah, we had all this stuff, and we got to R3. I can confidently say I can get 600 bushel corn to R3. After that, falls apart, tips back 40%. I mean, just 2, 3, 4 inches of tip back. Got a beer can. And reach this. You got an ear with a cob that long, and this is the ear.
Hey.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's the ear. So it'd be about where this, you can see the indentation, about that much of an ear left.
Yeah.
52,000. Oh, okay, that's, it's not going to be
like
400, but
bushel corn.
It's pretty good corn.
Yeah.
Well, I watched it develop out. Well, these kernels, this one fell off. I can't quite show that one, but anyway, this decent set, but that thing had like,
Thanks.
yeah, I know. This thing had
Best year I've ever had. Decent.
It was similar to like sweet corn getting mature.
Little.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Popcorn.
Yeah,
Closer to popcorn. Anyway, so stuff just falling apart. The rest of the field, I had an NCJ entry that year still, but the rest of the field was like so green, it wasn't even black layered yet. That stuff was mature, falling down.
Your crazy corn.
Crazy white rabbit corn.
Mm.
So anyway, I cut it, and one, it was an absolute nightmare. Absolutely have to have auto steer on the combine in order to run that through there. It was a mess. And I think it still did like 240 or something, but as much as I put on there. So that's why when guys tell me, I'm going to throw the book at it, good luck. I've thrown everything you can imagine. Now, I've got more into balancing after that.
Sure.
Still had a heck of a time reaching it.
You mentioned this a couple podcasts ago. What is your most problematic area on that farm?
That's
today.
Yeah, that half that I always pushed into that strip. I can show you on my phone and actual climate, the line where that was.
Interesting. To this day.
To this day. It ruined that ground.
About 7 years ago?
Yeah. So that's that whole half. It's probably 6 times the pigweeds. Not because of seeding. I've never let a weed get to seed there. Now that it's been worse pigweeds and I've been rotating and farming more for profit, not other things, eventually, around the outside rain gets seed and stuff, it's a mess. But I pretty much ruined that ground for the next 10 years. It's coming back, but it is ultra slow.
Wow.
I run 32 passes on that too. I had over 600 units.
32 side dress.
Yeah. Well, and a pivot.
Yeah.
Injected and pivot. It ruined it. Totally ruined it. That's when I realized you can't spend your way into huge yield.
Yeah. Otherwise, a lot more people will do it.
Yeah. So that was a major learning. So the white rabbit, I've had every special foo-foo thing out there chasing these yields and my highest, like how you mentioned, my highest average field I've ever had was planted with a planter that was a complete pile of crap and had skips in it.
Yep.
And everything.
Came up poor.
It was awful.
Yeah.
I turned it into glass with dicamba like you did. Same thing. Maybe that's the ticket. We need to just dicamba all that corn, make it all glass. So
destroy it.
When I say glass, I mean you could take out there and push it that far and it would snap.
Snapped off. Oh, dude. Story time my story time. Yeah. People have heard this, but I'm going to say it again. 2019. No.
Okay.
2019, the year after I met Ben, when I was like, all right, I'm going to listen to Ben. Because in 18, Ben told me to change a few things, and it worked great. In 19, I was like, I'm going to do what Ben says. And then I didn't. and I sprayed the field with dicamba because I had some weeds out there. And the corn was V6, V5, yeah, 5-6, somewhere in there. Anyway, and I go out there. It was my contest entry, and I'm like, oh, my word. This corn, I mean, it was beautiful corn. Beautiful corn. Still the best corn I ever raised. And I'm sitting there. I walk out. It was the evening after I sprayed. It was across the road from my house. I walk up the driveway, turn right, cross the bridge, go left. It's right there across the road ditch. It was all laid over or like leaning. And I don't know if I've ever had a more hopeless feeling in my gut about anything farming wise ever before. Hail, no. Floods, no. Drought, no. This. Because I did this. And I literally start walking through the field, and anything my pant leg brushed against popped off and fell on the ground.
Yeah.
Anything.
I think
I was going to have it side dressed. I called it off. I said, just the air from the air booms was going to blow the whole field to smithereens.
I got that video still.
And so you'll hear Ben say, Pretzer's standing on a bridge. You'll hear that comment. What that comes from is I was sulking my way home. And I called Ben. I was like, I'm dead. I'm done. We're done. We're dead. He's like, Ben's like, what'd you do? I'm like, I sprayed it with a dicamba. He's like, I told you not to do that. Like, well, but X, Y, Z, and whatever. And I stop because I didn't want to go back to the house to my wife and kids in that bad of a slump. So I'm just, and it's a little stream. I'm standing there on this bridge. You'd have to drop me from a helicopter for it to be fatal. If I just jumped off the bridge, I'd just probably twist my ankle. But I'm standing there on this bridge, and Ben's like, what are you doing? I'm standing on the edge of a bridge. Ben's like, don't do that. Just get off, walk home. It'll be okay. A couple days later, that corn stood back up, and it, to this day, was the best corn I ever raised.
Yep.
And I'm telling you.
I really think a lot of the time that crops and corn and beans and wheat, milo, all it does is spend its entire life trying to reverse all the errors you make.
Yeah.
So if you sit there and did nothing, more times than not, it works better. Did this year on almost everything we did.
It did, especially for cost effectiveness, because it didn't matter what you did this year.
Yeah.
The guy that did the least made just about the most money.
Yep.
Because nothing did good.
Yep.
Anyway, you want to talk about temperature.
Yeah, temperature, because it's freezing.
That's right.
I had thought about when they were talking about temperature and cold, is the whole Robert and the fuel tank thing.
What?
Don't you remember that story?
Raw root in the fuel tank?
Robert.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Robert in the tank.
Do you remember that? No? It's kind of a side deal.
Our whole podcast is a side deal.
Yeah, it's a real side. So I'm going out. We're no-till ripping, running an inline.
Mm-hmm.
And he's running. It is cold. I mean, it's probably teens or lower.
Wow.
And we're trying to finish this up before it really starts to freeze up. I got him out there. He's got IBS. For those who don't know what that is, irritable bowel syndrome.
Okay.
And so he goes to the convenience store. He always had this running joke. If you eat Easy Stop, convenience store, if you can eat Easy Stop pizza, you'll make it to the field before you crap yourself. If you eat Mama Fina's, which we've talked a lot about
Best Mexican food on earth, but it will tear you up.
You don't even make it out of the restaurant.
No, you don't. It's so good.
Anyway, he never came back to the farm or shops to go to the bathroom because it's so regular. And it's why every tractor you get on my farm's got toilet paper in it, other than I have a bunch of girls.
For Robert.
Yeah, it was originally for Robert. So anyway, this kid, I've got a fuel tank sitting out there, portable fuel tank, parked on the edge of the field. And he parks tractor there at night by the fuel tank. And the next day he's fueling, he's got to go, and he takes a dump right beside the fuel tank.
Oh, no.
Not a big issue. The biggest problem is he did something like a frickin' cat and he dusted the damn thing over. Next day, I go out there, or maybe later that day, and it's cold.
Squish.
No, I tripped over his damn pile of crap. There's a big old mound,
it's
and
frozen?
Yeah, fell over it. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff Robert would do. Literally, bale rows of bales, and he could have went by those. They were 100 feet away, and it would have been wind blocked and a little bit at least comfier, and he could have had some armrests.
You tripped over a dude's turd.
Yeah. A big pile of Easy Stop pizza. This is bad.
Digested.
Yes. So anyway, temperature. Yeah, we're talking about
temperature and corn.
Okay.
Where is Robert?
He works for Packing House.
Okay.
No. Yeah. Anyway.
We get Robert back.
He was a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun. It cost him a lot of days, but I tormented him a little bit too, and it was fun. That was fun. We've all had that guy.
Yeah.
So, anyway, temperatures in corn. We're talking about corn and not pollinating due to heat. Everybody freaks. The market freaks, all that stuff over heat waves. I've never seen, except for that one scenario, where corn didn't pollinate due to heat. Now, drought makes a difference in that. Yeah. But I've even seen drought corn still make it. It's all about how long the flowering is. So the longer
it may not be a perfect ear.
Right. It's all about the flowering window.
Okay.
How long will it stay in pollination and flower? Short season, not very long. Longer seasons, a lot longer. So we see yield advantages in drought situations with longer season corn. We see that in beans too.
Yes.
And that's due to the flowering window being open longer, waiting on a rain. So longer seasons tolerating an incredible amount of heat due to the overall flowering stage, how wide that is. So that's a tidbit on that. But yield chasing. I have yet to find guys banging out insane numbers anywhere away from large bodies of water. Now, when I say away, I'm talking over 200 miles or more. Okay. I don't know exactly where everybody is along, but all the records are along the coast.
Randy Daddy, David Hula.
Yep. All in states bordering the coastline.
Hedrick.
Yep. I did hear of one guy hitting a big number up in, I believe, Michigan area and stuff.
By the Great Lakes?
Yes.
Okay.
Big bodies of water. Anthony, he farms just outside. It don't swing more than 10 degrees up there. Mm-hmm. They got a very short window. When it warms up, it stays warm. When it gets cold, it stays cold. Nothing in between. Out here, you go out and there's a front coming and it's 80, 90 degrees. By the time front gets there, about 20 minutes later, it's 40 degrees.
Yep.
And so,
and that's not abnormal at all.
No, especially in the springtime.
Yeah.
So the point is that if you're chasing 500-600 bushel corn without a thermal regulator near a giant body of water, it ain't gonna happen.
For most guys chasing, I don't know. I wonder even what the potential. You think I'm gonna break 300 bushel corn?
It seems there's a genetic. I don't know if I'm going to call it genetic, but based off of what's going on today and what we understand, around 300. Mm-hmm. You can get there.
Yeah.
300, yeah. 350, yeah. 400, that's really getting there.
Yeah.
500, no. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
And if you're a general grower, hell no.
Yeah.
There is so much that has to be, and it's not about chasing a white rabbit. It's about knowing everything. You know what you're doing, down to the biology, everything. So that's the white rabbit. Don't chase because of the temperatures are your main limiting factor. And it's this. It's not here. It's not here. It's here, up and down. It's the vomit comet of temperatures.
Sure. Well, I mean, we talk about how important it is for plants to respirate at night.
Yeah.
When sun goes down, temperatures cool, hopefully. If you stay hot, man, that's stressful.
It's stressful, but it's almost like you.
Well, I mean, a hot summer night, you go outside and you're like, I know it's cooler, but man, breathing's hard. It's like, It's still hot.
Yeah, but how much does it stress you when the temperature swings 60 degrees?
A
You notice
lot.
it a lot.
A lot. Just like
Yeah.
a cattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus if it's 60 all day
Mm-hmm.
and you're outside and you're acclimated to it, you can take your hoodie off. You
Yeah.
can take your coat off.
Well, it's like in spring.
Yeah.
Once it warms up, the first 40-degree day, it's so
Yeah,
hot
you're good.
outside. Right
You're
now,
good.
we're freezing to death.
Yeah, but if it's 90 and then drops to 60, it is freezing.
Yes.
It hurts almost.
Cold front.
Yeah. So
Oh, we're going to be in a deer stand.
it's definitely a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
Have absolutely no control. So point of that story is if you're going to chase things like I did and stuff, you really need to be realistic with your number.
Yeah.
You cannot spend your way to 600 bushel corn. It's not going to happen.
Right.
I don't care what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't care if you put 4,000 pounds an acre of humic. I don't care if you're running 30 gallons of fulvic. It's not going to get through there.
Well, that's why we touch so much on how much isn't enough, how much is enough, and then what's the line, the profitable level,
Yeah.
and then what's excess. Because, so many people tell you, man, if a half a gallon sugar is great, 2 gallons is amazing, 5 gallons is going to just be epic.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about sugar. I want you to talk a little bit about sugar because there's been some hype about sugar and how talking or too much, what happens, and really, the destruction you can do by overstimulating biology.
Well, it's not overstimulating biology. It's overstimulating specific species.
Okay.
So sugar is a bacterial dominant carbohydrate or carbon, basically carbohydrate carbon. Biggest issue with sugar is 1, it sticks to everything. 2, it makes everything want to grow, regardless if you're ready or not.
Yeah.
The other is settling. It's reactive with calcium. Do not mix any sugars with calcium. It just becomes concrete. It literally calcifies that all the molasses or whatever. It'll calcify it into like bone. It's very similar. It just, yeah.
Wow.
I ultra pissed a co-op off doing that. It was one of those things.
You
It just
returned to Cruiser.
I did.
Yep.
Oh, he was pissed. He was so pissed off. I didn't know what happened.
Yeah.
But it did. Yeah, I got everything out before it's solidified. But
Yeah.
anyway. So, bacteria, love it. That's your main feeder. So, on our podcast we did about humics and stuff, we talk about the actual contact of nutrition absorption via contact. Like this is a nutrition or whatever, and you're touching it, that's going to be absorbed because I'm touching it, is less than 20%, 15%. I'm not exactly sure that number. I used to know it, but it's very, very low. Everything else is via biology. Bacteria, yes, but not really. Bacteria just move, to move an inch on that scale takes an extremely long time, and they've got to navigate. They've got particles they're moving through. So it's like trying to crawl through rocks, So it takes a long time. The best way it translocates is through the fungi network.
Okay.
So if there's videos on the internet to kind of describe what this is, but the largest organism on the planet is a fungus. We did that on a podcast. But they network almost as if an extension of a root. So root hairs are big-ish in that world. Bacteria
In that world. We see them as tiny.
Yeah, they're
It's
very
like
hard to see.
giant skyscrapers.
Yeah. The feeding root hairs are really, really tiny. Yeah. And then the microbacteria is smaller yet, and they still can't go through some of those cracks in the soil where there's moisture. But fungi can. It's like a coral of like how it grows on itself and then moves through. There's no structural thing like bacteria cells and stuff like that. So it's totally different, but it's like a root. It's a double extension of that root. Anyway, the idea is that you can access water that's so much easier to access that way, or nutrition or whatever. So if you only feed bacteria, bacteria gobbles nitrogen and oxygen. It gobbles oxygen, which then can break nitrogen to get more oxygen. Drives an anaerobic denitrification process.
Sure.
That's what happens in ponds. That's what you smell. Nitrogen gas leaching out.
Okay.
So not nitrate or whatever. But so it consumes that. If you drive that, you can drive that in an excess with sugar. Now, how much sugar is too much sugar? It's all over the place. I've heard guys tell me 800 pounds per plant per day.
800 pounds per acre.
800 pounds per acre per day.
Yeah.
Of sugar.
Is what that plant produces during peak plant performance. Right. Like tasseling corn.
Yeah. Now that's divvied between foliage use, grain production, and extra dates.
Yep.
So a plant has to decide where's they're going to send it. So you would think, okay, I'm going to put more sugar on. They can then use more sugar for carbohydrate to create starch and then go on to plant, production, whatever.
Well, I mean, when a corn's tasseling, you cut that plant open, it just oozes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a constant balancing act. The issue is that one podcast we talked about is when you supply a carbohydrate via sugar that you've selected, it doesn't carry the chemical signature that the plant needs for nutrition. You're feeding biology, but you're not feeding necessarily the right biology. You're just throwing everything out there. Mm-hmm. So we described it as brands of pop. We're not doing that. You're taking every brand and mixing it together and throwing it in there is what you're doing.
Sure.
So some come in, and whether you got a total, chaotic mess of bacteria feeding on this stuff, that can drive an anaerobic condition. That sounds awful. That's an extreme scenario. The point is that it's not a fix-all or replacer for the actual extra dates. It's just a stimulant to kind of get everybody going.
Sure.
So,
yeah, sugar's one to be careful with. Not scared of, but
all of them are one to be careful with.
Yes.
No matter what it is. So, but sugar is one that you can get into trouble with. Now, beet sugar derived molasses, cane sugar derived, white, raw, brown sugar. It seems to be all about usability. I can't get one guy say one's better than another.
Or you get somebody that really says one's better than the other.
Yeah. I don't have a favorite. I've talked to tons and tons of people.
We're molasses guys right now.
Right now, because it's easiest access, best price, and it seems to handle what we need to do the best. Mm-hmm. Last year, we had a cocktail that was blended up with multiple. I know guys that buy white sugar and blend it up. Some say it just dissolves too fast. Brown sugar.
It's supposed to be superheated.
Yeah.
The white sugar, so anything beneficial is dead.
Yeah, ish. Yeah. They take the old molasses out.
Okay.
Brown sugar is molasses laced. That's why it's brown.
Okay.
So, but it's I don't know. The only thing I do know is that I was told that beet sugar is a very reactive process, and it's not a very good one, which I talked about on the podcast. But beet pulp is reactive due to the process. When I say reactive, I'm talking radioreactive.
Yeah.
So, but it's obviously somewhat safe because people still consume it.
Sure.
So, there you go. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Well,
this is the quietest you've been in like 3 days. I've had to spend 3 full days with you.
We've been together 3 full days.
Yeah.
Days.
Yep. I learned a lot about Josh. He deals cards like a 100-year-old. He drives about like he's 70. It's very rigid. For those, this, if you're watching the video, it's turns like this. Everything's like jolty. There's no smoothness. So, too much auto steer in your life. You hadn't really learned.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I planted thousands of acres with that 8-row planter. It was a good planter. Anyway, just took weeks to plant. Okay. Well, this is our second. Yeah, this will be our second. We launched we did a wildlife podcast. Humic. catered to wildlife podcast. It'll be on the video or it'll be on the YouTube channel. Yeah, YouTube channel. These are going to be on the YouTube channel. Will these be on? Can you watch these on Spotify? Yes, you can watch these on Spotify, but not Apple Podcasts. We're getting the shrug.
That is totally weird. He wants to boot everybody from everything if it ain't an Apple. Huh?
Fired. Yeah. Anyway, so like, subscribe, share if you want. Great. Anyway, man, yeah, it's good stuff.
Awesome.
Thanks for putting up with me.
Yeah, no kidding. That's why I'm such in a bad mood today.
No, it's not. All right.
Catch you later.
See you guys.